Hi, everybody. Welcome in. You're listening to Dialing Into Your Soul, and this is our December edition for the new moon. So, just a moment as we are getting set up here, there were some really weird things that are happening right now. Okay. All right. Just a moment. Let me place everybody on our brief hold. I'll be back in about 2 minutes. Thank you. I'll be back.
Your name, your number, and the best time to return your call. Hello.
Perfect. All right, Veretta, so glad that you just now joined us. I know we've had some weirdness trying to connect. Mercury's in retrograde after all.
Yeah.
So glad that you're here with us. So here we are for
Finally.
tonight's show for DIY Soul New Moon Edition for December. Now, I do have some things that I would like to kind of bring up to talk about the particulars about the month of the major themes that we're all looking at coming up into this next lunar cycle. And there are a lot of changes. To put it lightly, the way that I can kind of best describe it is you're probably having one of two experiences right now. And your experience is going to be determined by the energy that you are putting into by your own actions. So on one side of the coin, we have like, oh my God, all of that pipe dream stuff that I have been working on or fantasizing about for so long. Are you kidding me that that's actually real? That's actually happening? So that's one side of it. And then on the other side of it, which is the unfortunate side, which is sort of like I decided to just sort of coast along and not step outside of myself in this whole process over the past few years. So what's happening here is you're having everything that's kind of just sort of crumbling away, and it really sort of feels like a losing streak. These are the two experiences that everybody is having right now, and this is really sort of obvious through the world chart that we're all dealing with. Is that, to put it very lightly, just let me set this up right here. Okay, great. So to put it lightly, what's happening right now is like there is basically a test that we are all going through right now, for the lack of a better word. And test basically just means I know there's some weirdness happening on my screen right now. And test in this case just means that whatever it is that you thought that you were working on before, now you're really being challenged to make sure that you're paying attention. And so what that then translates to is that the major themes in your life are repeating themselves. And the reason that they're repeating themselves is because guess what? This is a test. And so these are the major themes that we're all dealing with this month. I have no idea why this is showing up all screwy on my screen. I can just show you straight up what I had prepared for today. Just give me a moment here. And all right, great. We got this and that. This is so awkward, but it could be a lot worse. So, Veretta, is that sort of what you're getting on your end? Is that this really is
Yeah.
yeah, because that comes in pretty
Yeah.
strong. That we're either getting what
It's
we
all of,
wanted.
yeah. The thing too about you're struggling when you're, feeling like everything's falling out from under you, you cannot avoid the reality that you've been given many, many times to get off of whatever it was you were standing on before it was jerked out from under you. So, yeah. So no, not only is it, yay, this is really finally happening, it's, oh my God, I did that to myself. So there's a lot of growth in this next few weeks, 6-8 weeks actually, that will reconnect people back with, it's like, just say they jumped off their path. It will reconnect them with their path, or it will at least again allow them to correct their trajectory, based on where they thought they should have been going. So there's a lot of growth. And for of course, with each person, it's individual. Not everybody's growing at the same level for the same reason. So lots of movement.
Now, I just want to show everybody on the world chart what's happening. We're looking at the world chart on my screen right now. I have that up on our YouTube cast if you're watching us over there. And for the most part, monthly forecasts sort of age like milk because astrologers traditionally like to focus on all of the inner planets like Mercury and Venus and Mars and the moon and the sun and all of that. But all of those objects move so fast throughout the sky that from this month to next month, it just gives me an excuse to spew more BS, if I'm being really honest, because that's sort of how astrologers make their living, right? Is by writing these super generic monthly forecasts or outlooks for absolutely everybody on the planet. So cookie cutter in their approach, but that doesn't really help us. What we really want to know are the major themes that are happening in the world. And in order to do that, we find these major themes by eliminating all of those fast moving planets. Now, again, if you're watching our YouTube cast, you'll see here the same chart that I just had up just had a whole bunch of planets that went away. And that's because that's all of that fast moving stuff. I do keep Mars, however, as an inner planet, and that is useful to work with, not only because it's the final inner planet before we get to the outer planets, but also because Mars is really a critical planet keyword when it comes to things that are happening out in the world, because we're talking about your actions or your will even. And this is something that we all share in common, so it kind of gives a swing to how we read the chart based on our own personal actions. And in this chart here, the second one that I have up, we have all of those fast moving planets taken out, except now we have a big fat red dot, and that's showing us where the sun and the moon have gone onto the same part of the 90-degree dial during this full moon, which we just had yesterday, I believe. And so for that thing, we do just want to kind of keep that out there. And the reason why that new moon energy is significant, especially this time around, is because of the fact that this red dot is happening right there around that black dot on the dial itself, and this black dot is in between both of the arrows on either side. So because this red dot falls right in between both of those arrows, that means if we fold the circle again and fold the chart in half one more time, that this is going to be falling on a major axis of symmetry. So if you have other personal points that are happening right around here, you're going to be affected. This is going to be a big thing for you this coming cycle. In the next view that we have here, we can see all of the planets that are going on right now. And the way that you can read this is the pink circles match up with the pink circles. So if you reflect, let's say, this symbol here right by this number 3 on the left and reflect it over this line in the middle, then we arrive at Neptune over here on the right. So you can correlate those circles, and the colors of the circles just refer to which dot, this blue, pink, or black, which dot does the midpoint of those two planets fall nearest. And that has to do more with the Akashic Records reading of the chart itself. And so here's where we are for today when we're talking about the test. You can see that green number 1 is going to concern Pluto and Kronos. Now let's find out what that actually has to say. In Rules for Planetary Pictures, in New Rules for Planetary Pictures, which is a free company resource that we offer to everybody, some standouts here are proving one's ability. Certified and approved test, mastery, a big change. Formula for the nouveau riche, a self-made person. Changes in form of government. Immense upward change in development. Rising, big changes. So you can press pause and read what all of the other stuff says, but I've just sort of highlighted the main things. And when it equals Saturn, which is one of the planets that's on that axis, not quite exactly, but we're going to be seeing this early next year. This has to do with the fall of a government. So here in the United States, we are dangerously close to everything just sort of going into gridlock or to just like not moving forward, total standstill bottleneck. It's going to be a very difficult energy next year for the United States, to put it lightly. So I really, truly hope that everybody in the final months or the final weeks that we have of 2023, that you're getting all of your ducks in a line and preparing your future vision for whatever that thing is that you've been working towards, because at some level unconsciously we all know what we're working towards. That may not be so obvious or so clear in the beginning stages, but we do have a sense that there is something much better out there, whatever that may be. So this is really going to be a time when we want to do our due diligence to stay on top of that, because we will be rewarded for all of those efforts. Or what's going to start happening is it's going to get a little bit rough. So in this next chart here, what we're going to do is we're going to look at number 2, and that's going to concern that Mars, Admetos, and Saturn. So this is really difficult, those 3 planets together. If we look at the definition from Rules for Planetary Pictures 2, then this is going to be the beginning of a very sad time, sickness, separation, or interruption of work for an extended period of time. Now that's one side of it. And then also we have hindrance of activities, forced to quit working, long-lasting depression, death through crushing. So none of that sounds great either. And all of this honestly sounds really bad in many of the rule books that I looked at. So I pulled it up in Ruth Brumman's Innovations, the lexicon that's inside of her Aureus astrology software. It's a lot more positive in nature and speaks more to the personal alchemy. So if we look at this analysis, the top set of plus and minus, these are the choices that I have in the moment of how I can express my own energy. And then on the bottom, plus and minus, when that comes to pass and its own triple midpoint in my personal chart, these are the things that I can expect to have happen to me based on the choices that I made on the top 2 items. So in the top part, we see that positively, those 3 energies, you can be steadfast, persevering, capable of heavy or demanding work, suited to specialized work, retrospective, adamant, needs to overcome the past. Again, you can press pause and see what all of this has to say, but that's the positive of it. And the negative of it, you have being inflexible, contrary, inconsiderate, and misses opportunities by acting too slow. So the great news here is that if you choose all of the stuff on the top, then you can have the bottom positive outcomes, which are overcoming of impasses. That's where like problems just begin to go away, or the handling of serious problems. Also dealing with endings relating to serious or focused work. Believe it or not, my textbook that I've been working on for the past year or so is about 92% finished. I could probably finish that this month, and I will, just to say that I got it done as a big personal accomplishment. But that's a terrific example of what an ending related to serious or focused work can be like. So whatever that personal project is that you've been working on, if it's your needlework or any other creative endeavor, or even if it's just something professionally related that you just want to get out there, take those steps and get that out, push it out the door, because this is something that this is one energy that is useful in a sea of energies that are very challenging and difficult. So that's going to be number 2 on the chart. When we look at this number 3, we're dealing with Neptune and Cupido. And then just to give you a preview, with number 4, we have Poseidon down at the bottom. So let's take a look at Neptune and Cupido, just those 2 on their own. So the positive choices are going to be sensitive, sentimental, private, low profile. And by the way, if you're listening to this, Neptune is also a planet when you combine it with Hades. This can deal with our addictions, our vices, our drug abuse, all of those kinds of things. So if any of those items resonate with you personally, like this is something that you are working on, then you definitely want to be choosing on the positive list of things here, because when all of the negative stuff is really difficult and you don't need to bring that into your life. So
90 seconds.
I have no idea why we're about to be cut off. This is really freaky, but I am really glad that we got this out there. We will probably start a new show as soon as we get booted here, but stay tuned for that. And also on the positive end, you can have things like sacrifices relating to associations, secret clubs, insecurity or instability in the family on the negative end, as well as relating to associations. When we add in our 4th
60
planet
seconds.
with Poseidon down here, then we have lucid, social, and familial intuitions. And again, you can just press pause and figure out what all of this has to say on our YouTube cast. And so you can pick positive or negative. Aries and Poseidon right now, there's a lot of propaganda out in the world. So we will be seeing some more of that. It should lessen up probably a little bit early into next year as that influence gets off being so direct, but that is going to be its own thing. We are totally running out of time and we're going to get booted. So I am going to end this cast of Loretta. Stay tuned. I will give you a call back and we will continue this show in just a few moments. Hope you enjoyed this very brief forecast, and we'll pick it up soon. We'll be back.
10 seconds. using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.